Hello, economics students. In our last lesson, we ended up with this chart here, which I asked you to complete. You should have that complete by now. If you don't, you'll need to go back to our previous lesson and get this chart finished. The monetary policy of the Fed has proven to be a very effective tool, really, in managing our economy over the last 12, 13 years or so, and even longer than that. It was monetary policy combined with other government actions, which really did limit the severity of the very tough recession that we had back in 2008 and 2009. And then the Fed again was very active in helping to ensure that the recession that resulted from COVID was relatively short-lived back a year and a half ago, well, in 2020. But there are limits to monetary policy. Monetary policy is not perfect. So what I want to do today is look at the limits of monetary policy. And this will be a fairly short presentation, but an important one to understand that monetary policy does have its limits. First of all, timing is an issue in dealing with our economy and dealing with the money supply. Poorly timed action by the Fed can make the business cycle fluctuations between inflation and recession even more severe. Timing causes lags, and let's see how this works. There's such thing as an inside lag, and the inside lag is the time from when a problem develops to when the Fed actually responds to it. So let's say that you're starting to have an economic slowdown. That might not be readily apparent to everyone right away. And so it takes a little time to realize that we're at the start of an economic slowdown. And it might take the Fed a little bit of time then to respond to that economic slowdown. So that period of time from when the problem begins to when the Fed responds is called the inside lag. The outside lag is the time it takes from when the Fed actually does something to when what the Fed's actions do actually has an impact on the economy. So let's say we're in a period of inflation. The Fed's going to want to restrict the growth of the money supply, so they'll do that, but that doesn't immediately stop inflation. It will take some time for that action of the Fed to actually slow down inflation. So that time lag, once the Fed takes its action, is called the outside lag. Now, think about this question. What would happen if the Fed reacted to high inflation, but the inflation actually corrected itself on its own by the time that outside lag came to an end? Well, if the inflationary cycle just sort of corrects itself automatically, which it will do over time, and the Fed acts too late, that could actually cause the economy to go into a recession. The economy is starting to slow down anyway, naturally, and the inflation is going to start slowing down. And then the Fed acts, and the Fed acts to restrict the money supply. That's going to cause this natural correction to actually be overdone and cause perhaps a recession. There's the decrease in the money supply action by the Fed could actually make matters worse if the Fed doesn't time its action correctly. So that's a really important thing to remember. Timing can really make matters worse. The Fed has to be very careful in when it does its actions so that there won't be an exacerbation of the problem due to bad timing. Another limit to the effectiveness of monetary policy is something called cyclical asymmetry. And that's simply that monetary policy has proven to be quite effective at controlling inflation over the last generation or two, but it's been less effective in responding to a recession. It has been able to impact economic growth in a recessionary period, but it seems that the effects of the Fed are less in dealing with recession than in dealing with inflation. We haven't had serious inflation in the United States since the early 1980s, and that's largely due to actions of the Federal Reserve in controlling the money supply. However, we've had several recessions since the 1980s, and that would indicate that the Fed has not been as successful in controlling recessions as it has been in controlling inflation. And finally, there's something called the liquidity trap. The Fed can increase the liquidity of banks so that they can lend more money. However, the Fed cannot force banks to use that additional liquidity to actually make loans. Kind of like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink. That's true with the Fed and banks and the money that can be lent out to customers. You can't force a bank to lend out its cash. You can give cash to the bank so they can do it if they wish to, but you can't force them to. And in fact, that was a problem in the reaction to the recession of 2008 and 2009. The Federal Reserve just really did increase the amount of reserves available to banks to increase the money supply to pull us out of that recession. But a lot of banks chose not to use that additional liquidity for the purposes for which the Fed intended. And they kept a lot of that liquidity in their reserves. I believe in that recession, a lot of banks which nearly went bankrupt because of their lack of cash, a lot of banks were just spooked. They didn't want to lend out too much money because they had just had a period of time when they were not being successful in getting people to pay back their loans, and in fact that's what created that recession in the first place, the fact that people were defaulting on their home mortgage loans. So a lot of banks were really hesitant to lend that excess reserves out in the way that the Fed hoped they would. That's the liquidity trap. You can't force banks to make loans if they choose not to, even if they have enough reserves that would enable them to. So I want to make sure that you are aware of these three serious limits to monetary policy, and I think there might be something in Canvas for you to respond to as a result of this short lecture. So check Canvas and see what's there, and you guys have a great day.